What's up, guys, and welcome back to the mountains here, North Idaho. It's a beautiful day. We wanted to give you guys a tour of just how far our homestead has come. It's looking really good this summer, so
let's do it. Get right to it. If you guys are new to the channel, my name is Liz, and my husband Mike and I have been homesteading this property for just about 3 years now. We both grew up in the North Idaho area, and we met each other, I don't know, maybe 6 years ago now. And we've been married for just about 2 years. We bought this property in 2020 and kind of just poured every single thing that we have into it. It is 10 acres of mountainside property, not a lot of flat area. We came in here, we drilled 2 wells. We put in a septic tank, we hooked up to the power, we cleared a flat area for our house. And down here, we call this the lower landing. This is where our sawmill is, this is where the chickens are, the sheep are. This is kind of like our working, like livestock area down here. So off to my left, there's actually about 0.2 acres of like sheep pasture. This is a nice thick, like grassy, bushy area. We have a ram and a goat in here right now. Over here on this side is where we keep our meat chickens. We have 16 Freedom Rangers in here right now. This is Mike and I's second summer doing the broiler chickens. We had a great experience with it last year. We were able to do just about 50 into our freezer, so that was a year's worth of chicken. We liked that a lot. So these guys free range in this little area right here. We had built this dual purpose sheep and chicken shelter. So they use that as their coop. And then when the chickens aren't in there, the sheep can go in there as well. We have 35 more Freedom Rangers coming here in about a month. So that's perfect. That should be plenty enough to keep us fed with chicken throughout the year.
if you guys have been watching our videos, you would have seen that Liz and I just pastured off our whole mountain up here. And so far, it is working really, really good. So quick overview, we did a 5-wire electric fence around about 1.5 acres of mountainside pasture or hillside pasture, and it's working really, really good so far. Knock on wood, we have not had any escapees out of the pasture, and we have not had any predators trying to get into the pasture. And every wire is electrified, so I think we're doing pretty good with that. This is like our main pasture right here behind me, and we have 2 ewes and a ram back here. So I think here in a little bit, we're gonna put the baby ram over in the other pasture with the more adult ram, so they can kind of become friends. And we want to save both of them for breeding purposes here in the fall. We have 2 different ewes from 2 different bloodlines, I guess, so we can kind of play with the breeding. And then I think maybe we'll butcher one of those rams after that down the road. But all these sheep are doing really, really good, guys. The barn has held up really well all winter long, all summer long. We have another about 3 tons of hay that we're gonna go pick up that we keep stored in the barn. We stored 2 tons in there last year to feed our sheep throughout the winter. Worked out really, really good. A lot of you guys may know, if you use these containers for many different purposes, it always seems that you have moisture issues, and luckily for us, we put nice dry hay in there and had no moisture issues whatsoever. So that was really cool. Behind me is all the lumber that Liz and I have been cutting on the sawmill. We have a lot of lumber here for a lot of different projects, and one of those projects is the fence that we just completed in one of our previous videos. That's up by the garden. But before we do that, I think we should head over and show you guys our laying hens. So we have 2 different sets of chickens, I guess you could say. This is kind of our main coop where we keep the egg layers. We are getting a lot of eggs this summer, guys. So many eggs. We have about 12 hens, 12 laying hens, and we're getting anywhere from like 7 to 11 eggs every single day. We don't feed our chickens really in the summertime like your traditional layer feed. We just give them just scraps, and they have bugs and worms that they're digging up throughout here. So for the little amount of effort that we have to put into these, it's really cool seeing a really good kickback getting that many eggs. You know, a lot of you guys may know that the egg production goes way down in the winter, but this summer the chickens are really, really doing good. You can kind of see the sawmill through there. It's really overgrown. We haven't been milling in a bit, but yeah, let's head up to the garden and show you guys up by the house. It looks really good.
You'll come up the driveway from the bottom up to the shop, and this is where we live. This is where our garden is. So we've been spending a lot of time working up here so far this year. we've been giving a lot of attention to the garden. The very first part of like the spring and summer was focused on getting the sheep into their pastures. But now that that's finished, we've been able to focus a lot more of our attention on the garden. And we think that it's looking really, really great so far this year. We're up here in like the very panhandle of North Idaho. We are zone 6. So we kind of have to pick and choose what we plant here, and we try to get an early jump start on things. It looked a lot different last year. The garden was actually down where the barn is. We had nothing here. When Homestead Rescue came in, they like put a lot of fill over here and just made things so much better. We love having the garden up here. We just recently built this fence out of the wood that we had milled, as well as logs that we were able to collect just from the mountains up here in North Idaho. Come on in and I'll show you around a little bit. We opted for the raised beds. Homestead Rescue actually did this for us. Here on our property, the soil is kind of different, like depending on where you are, but up here it is a lot of clay, and we found that nothing could really grow in it, and that raised beds were going to be our very best option. So we'll start over here at the end. We've got corn and pumpkins growing in this bed. In this big bed, we just built these a couple of days ago. We've got peas, green beans, lettuce, more corn. Over here is a bed of green beans. We've got carrots, garlic in this bed. This is actually going to be ready to harvest here fairly soon. A bed of potatoes here. This is leafy greens. We've got kale and lettuce mostly. Some more potatoes here. These are all of our cucumbers. Everything is doing pretty good. We just got into summertime, obviously, so things are definitely growing. I'm excited to see what it looks like throughout the summer. Got a bed of zucchini squash right here. Those are doing great. They should get really big. A few tomatoes here and some flowers. We've got peas growing up the trellis right here. More tomatoes here and a whole bunch of corn. Right here at the greenhouse, we've got a flower bed going all around. I love that. Lots of different kinds of flowers. Makes it look super pretty. Tons of stuff growing inside the greenhouse. So let's go check that out.
All right, guys. This is thick. There's actually not much room left in here. We have so many, wow, that is a huge wasp in here. We have so many different plants in here, and they're all doing really, really good. So I guess, first off, this mint patch is like huge. This stuff is taking off. You can see Liz has sprinkled just a little bit of like just baking flour on these. We do have some grasshoppers that are trying to make this place their home, because there's a lot of good food in there, and we don't like that. So we're trying to take care of them. Over here we have a few really small herbs. This is cilantro. It actually needs to be topped off. And then back here we have some dill. Those are still really small. Basil back here. The lettuce is pretty much ready to be picked. Should probably go through and pick that lettuce. More basil, and then all these tomatoes, guys. This is a huge tomato patch. A couple different kinds of tomatoes here, and then a few rogue flowers. Looks like sunflower, and man, I don't even know what is that?
It's a zinnia.
A zinnia. Yeah, so lots of different plants here, and then we tried to do peppers and more flowers down here. The flowers are doing better than the peppers are doing. These peppers have been planted for a long time, and they are not doing that good. I'm going to leave the bee in here because I read that they will eat the grasshoppers. They're kind of like, you know, little savages. But all in all, greenhouse is doing really good. We got the vents open, and like Liz had said earlier in this video, like big shout out to everybody at Homestead Rescue, the Rainies especially, because they really pimped out this whole greenhouse. Liz and I kind of had a base for it, and they came through and made it is what it is today. So it's looking really good. So thank them. What's next? I think we should go and talk about this huge retaining wall over here. A lot of you guys, if you've been watching the channel for any amount of time, I mean, obviously right here, you can see we built into this hillside. So that was like our main reason for reaching out to the Rainies, and the wall that Marty Rainey built is just super, super impressive, guys. I think just before we go talk about that, let's talk about firewood, because if anybody is like a legitimate homesteader trying to do their thing, you have to have good firewood storage, and that's something that Liz and I have slightly struggled with here on our homestead. You know, we grew up cutting firewood and storing it, and that was kind of both of our families' main source of heat growing up here in North Idaho. So we just like to do the same thing. We're trying to carry on that sort of lifestyle. So you need to have good firewood storage. And for right now, Liz and I are using this 20-foot shipping container. Last year it worked out, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. It kept all the wood dry, kept it nice and secure. It's really easy to stack in there. You can fill this whole container, you know, floor to ceiling. But the one downside that I mentioned earlier in this video is these containers hold moisture sometimes, guys. So we did fight a little bit of condensation inside our shipping container woodshed this past winter. You know, there's a lot of reasons because of that. And one mainly being that the firewood is wet when you're putting it in there. And the shipping container just doesn't breathe that much. I guess a guy could probably put some vents on there and maybe you could turn it into a pretty decent wood storage, but I don't know if we're gonna continue having this as like our main firewood storage. But all in all, it worked pretty good last year. Like I said, it kept the wood out of the elements completely. And we had a lot of snow last year, guys. So if we just had this pile underneath a tarp or something, it would have really been a pain. So the shipping container was like absolutely better than nothing. Right behind me, we have the huge boulder retaining wall. And it is, guys, it's so hard to do these rocks justice on cam here. I'll go stand next to this huge one. This is probably a 7-foot tall rock. This thing is massive. I actually got this rock here after Marty Rainey left. So I did this section of the wall, this littler section, and you can tell because it's a lot more rough than what Marty Rainey did back here. Like I mentioned, if you guys have been watching our channel for any amount of time, you know that we were very much in a really like slippery situation right here. This held really, really good. We did have some water issues this past spring, especially once the snow started to melt and everything started to run down and pool behind the house here. So we do have to take care of some drainage issues, but this is 1,000 times better predicament to be in than what we were in before. So yeah, just a little bit of drainage, should be able to button all that up. All in all, the wall itself has held like very, very well. Like I said, we had a lot of snow, a lot of moisture, just so much runoff when it really came. It came fast. So this wall held up really good. Obviously, there's a little bit more work that Liz and I want to do, you know, here in the coming years. It's just hard to find boulders this size, you know, let alone something like this. So we're just trying to like source these boulders from our property, and as we find them, we stack them up right here with the excavator. But we have a long ways to go.
Summertime is definitely an easy and pleasant season around here, but having the season, it definitely goes by really quick. Summertime is like the main time to really get outside stuff done before the snow falls and before it gets too cold to really do much outside. So it is busy, but we do feel like we've come a long ways and we are kind of at the position or getting into the position where we're really just able to like maintain the outside area rather than, you know, starting at the beginning and building up from there.
Yeah, we've definitely made some killer progress. And yeah, like you said, we have to step back sometimes and realize that it's not this constant battle. We're actually getting to a stage of we've built up a lot of things here. So yeah, hopefully we can kind of ride the wave. Obviously, we're gonna always have maintenance and keep stuff up and stuff like that, but we've been building this place from scratch for a little over 3 years now. And a huge project, but it's finally, you know, kind of the light at the end of the tunnel almost. And that's only with like the homesteading projects. We really want to continue to develop this property so much further. We have 10 acres of basically a small mountain. So there's so many opportunities that we can do with this, so many projects we can really turn this place into, you know. So we're really excited about trying to dive into some of those projects now that we have like home base kind of secure. Getting there.
Yeah, getting there. It's far from finished. I don't know if it will ever be truly finished, but we're definitely getting there. And I think as the years go, you know, it's just going to be better and better. And I look forward to that.
Yeah. And we really appreciate you guys watching this video. If you haven't, please consider subscribing down below. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Thanks, you guys. We'll see you next time.